Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to another video. I hope you're all well. This is probably the most local walk to me I have. It's a country walking cutout, and we are in Fifield this afternoon. The weather is sort of slightly overcast, but it's not too bad. It's a nice cooling breeze. The walk is 6 miles long. We're going to be visiting, of course, Fifield and the tiny village of Willingale. Now this is particularly important to me on a personal level because I grew up around here. In fact, I went to Dr. Walker's C of E primary school here in Fifield, and I actually lived in Willingale for a number of years on the outskirts of the village. And I'd say I grew up around there, really. We sort of moved there when I was about, I think I was about 7.5. I moved schools. And I've always really lived in Essex. We stayed here for, well, a long time really. I think we ended up moving to where we currently live now, which isn't that far away, when I was about 18, and we've been there ever since. So this is going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane, this walk. 6 miles in total, so it's not particularly long. So we're going to be picking up a short section of the Three Forests Way, all the way into Willingale, following part of the Essex way as well, which I have done a lot of years ago. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be good fun. It's a lovely part of the world. Anyways, enough talking, let's get walking. Bet you've missed that. Wait. So the other side of this hedge is the Fyfield Village Hall and the huge playing field, and that's where they used to, well, I suppose they probably still do actually hold the Fifield Village Fete. We was always there every summer. It was lovely. You either had Fifield Village Fete to go to or Willingale. Willingale was a much smaller affair. Not as many people turn up, but we tended to always go to that one, and it was just great fun. You know, sort of those long, warm summer evenings, and you know, I was a kid, so couldn't drink, but all the grown-ups would be in like the marquee, you know, eating and drinking and having a laugh, and all the kids would just sort of form new friendships and just like play football, run outs, all that sort of stuff. And it was, you never wanted to go in. Like, the weather was so good, and it was having such a good time that you just wanted to stay out all night. I was thinking of wild camping on this one. I've been planning this walk for probably a year at least, and I just never got round to doing it because it's local, and I thought, oh, I can do it any old time, and it just got shelved. And then in some ways I'm glad I've done it now because of the lockdown. It's the closest walk I've got to where I live, so, and I can't drive that far, of course, because of the restrictions, so this is perfect really. we've left the Three Forest Way and we've now joined the Essex Way, which is I think about 82 or 84 miles, and it starts at Epping train station and goes across Essex up to Harwich on the coast. We're in Canons Lane now on the other side of Fifield. I used to have a few school friends that used to live down here, and a really nice place to grow up actually, because a lot of the houses never used to have fences between them, so they were all really friendly with one another, and you could just wander between gardens and go and chat to people if you wanted, and all the kids got along. There's a cat there. And there's a nice variety of styles of houses in Canons Lane, but there's an old thatched caravan over there which has been turned into a house. It's amazing. I can just see the church above the fields just over there. It's a lovely little church. It's nice to come back to kind of where you grew up. Doesn't necessarily matter where you were born unless you grew up there, but I think one of the most important things in life is kind of where you grew up and stuff, because it does shape you as a person, definitely. Growing up sort of inland, it made me appreciate the sea and rivers more, because there's really none of that here. We're probably about an hour's drive from the coast. There's plenty of woodlands and fields, and I don't mind them, but in some ways, because I've grown up around that stuff and I used to play out in the woods and the fields as a kid, kind of, yeah, the novelty wears off, I guess, really, and you long for something more adventurous and something different from where you grew up. So hence why I like coastal camps and walking along rivers and river estuaries. It's what I like them the most, I think. So where you grew up definitely shapes you, I think. We're on the outskirts of Fifield now, and this is Whitney Green. Other side of the bushes and the trees here, I believe, is Whitney farmhouse. It's a really big house covered in ivy or like creepers. I don't know if they still do it every year, but they hold like an annual scarecrow trail thing where residents of the village, if they want, make a scarecrow like themed. It could be a film character or an actor or a musician or something from a story or something like that, like a book. So they have a scarecrow trail and open gardens, and you go around the whole village looking for these scarecrows. And Whitney farmhouse had like an open garden day as well there, and the gardens are massive. They are amazing. It is a really nice house. So the owner sort of opened it up and you could come in and have a look round and that, down that long track. Now that used to be the old rectory, but they've changed it now to a brilliant name, Wits End. And I remember being at primary school, and I remember the vicar lived there. I think it was Reverend Morgan. I think sadly had a heart attack in the end. He moved, I think, down to Hastings, down to East Sussex on the coast, and sadly died of a heart attack, I think. Anyway, he was quite elderly. Even when I was at primary school, he used to live there, and I remember there was a table tennis club that he used to run after school, and there was only a few of us, few kids. I remember we was really naughty, and we like completely trashed the whole place and stuff, and he was so upset. He was really offended, and he just never wanted to do it again. And I think it was my mum, she sent me and a couple of the other kids up to his house to go and apologise to him. Yeah, and I remember, and he was really grateful of it. It was But I just remember going up there and having to say sorry to him for like being naughty. Oh, this is content, this is, honestly. Classic content, what a load of old shit. Over there somewhere, set back from the road, there's a house called Radar House. It's a farm, they've got horses, you know, they're horsey people. Radar House, don't know why it's called that. We're not far from like the remains of RAF Willingale, which was a massive American US bomber airfield. They used to have all the US bombers and stuff like that were stationed there during the war, and there's not a lot left of it now. In fact, I think there was bugger all really, but as a kid there used to be loads. There was like the old radar tower, little bunkers, Nissen huts, stuff like that, and yeah, we used to go and explore all of that as kids, and you used to get in trouble as well. You could get caught by the people that own the land, and yeah, I was doing urbex from a young age. So the remains of the airfield, I'm trying to remember where it is, whether it's out sort of over this way or something like that, but I thought maybe Radar House was something to do with that, judging by the name. It's a strange name, isn't it? And yeah, there's like a fishing lake and clay pigeon shoot over that way as well. It backs onto the remains of the old airfield. Unfortunately, it's sort of, they've bulldozed a lot of it and, you know, destroyed a lot of the remains. If you look on Google Earth, you can see some like faint outlines of like the old runways. You know, they crisscross and stuff. Typical World War II airfields. The US pilots, you know, used to sort of stay in Willingale and stuff, and they used to go in the church. There's 2 churches in Willingale. I'll get to that when we get to Willingale. That's pretty cool. In the same churchyard. It's quite a rare thing, that. And apparently there's graffiti from the World War II American pilots in one of the churches. I think it's in St Andrews, the one that's not used as much anymore. It's only used for special occasions. We'll get to that anyway. I'm excited. And sad twat. Don't know if we're going to be able to get in the churches though. They've probably locked them all because of the virus. We're approaching Miller's Green, which is I don't know if it's a dead end, or I know the road's unsuitable for heavy goods vehicles. And this house on the corner of the road here, it's got quite a story. It's been refurbished over the last few years, but it used to be a real wreck. There was this like really elderly man that lived on his own in there in like one room, and the whole house was just like falling down around him. It was derelict and no one could buy it. He wouldn't sell, and he just lived on his own as a hermit basically in there, and he died in there in this one little room. And they ended up, of course, then selling the house and knocked it all down and rebuilt it all again. But it's got like an old tennis court out the back, loads of stuff, amazing. We're going to be coming back to Miller's Green a little bit later on. So we're still on the Essex way. Yeah, it's a really sad story about the old man that lived in there. The Essex way goes up this slight hill here over to Willingale, which is where I grew up over there, and you can see in the distance one of the 2 towers of the churches there. And my aunt lives there as well, in one of the old almshouses next to the church. So we just arrived in the churchyard of the 2 churches here at Willingale. And that's St Christopher's And then just over here is St Andrew's, I believe. So this one is the one that's used for like regular church services, Sunday service and stuff. And then this one here, look at that, with that little wooden spire. That one is only used for special occasions like special festivals, you know, harvest, Christmas, that sort of stuff, I believe anyway. And of course, for obvious reasons, I don't believe the churches are open. So, you know, because of like lockdown and stuff like that at the moment. The St Christopher's Church, which is behind the camera at the moment, was actually used for a Mr Bean sketch for comic relief one year, where he goes to a funeral and he's sat in the church and he thinks he's at the right funeral. It turns out it's not. It's St Andrew's behind us. And of course, because there's two churches in one graveyard, it was perfect for the storyline. And he's in the church because you can see a plaque on the wall behind him in one of the scenes that says Willingale Doe, which is kind of the name of the family, the Doe family, that had a big house here in Willingale, and well, apparently built St Christopher's Church. There's a couple of theories why there's two churches in one graveyard here. One, that it was two sisters that were quarrelling and never got along, and they fell out and they built their own church, so they didn't have to go to service together. They could go to their own separate service in their own church. Apparently that's a load of rubbish anyway. Apparently it's because there were two wealthy families in the village, the Does and the Spains, and Spain's Hall still exists actually down the road. Don't know about the house of the Does, and anyway, they each had their own kind of church. And the church behind us, St Andrew's, is the one that I believe has got the World War II graffiti from the US fighter pilots and bomber pilots. Pretty cool. This old building across the road is called the Bell, and it used to be the original pub in Willingale. They've still got the beer cellar doors. It's a very old building. It's never been a pub in my lifetime, so it shut down a lot earlier. So that's the Bell, the old pub, and the next pub was called the Maltster's Arms, or the Top House. It had different names, and that is up at the top of the village, as you'd guess, at the end of the road. Now that's got quite a checkered history with quite a few different landlords, shall we say. It's now a privately owned house. I remember one landlord did a runner. He nicked the safe and all the money and basically legged it, and the police were after him for quite a while. I don't know if they ever caught him actually, but... And then, more of a personal story to me, I used to go up there with my dad when I was a kid, and he used to take me up there for, you know, a lemonade or something. He'd have a pint and we'd play pool on the pool table there. And usually we was like the only two people in there other than like the landlord. And I don't know, that's why they never made any money, and that's why it kept changing hands and changing names and stuff like that. I remember one night we went up there and there was a couple of really fancy cars in the car park, and we thought, blimey, someone's actually here. And we went in, and it was only Teddy Sheringham, the famous footballer. He played for England, he played for Man United, Spurs I believe. He was in there with his wife and their friends, who were a couple as well, and they were playing pool. And I was like, oh my god, it's Teddy Sheringham. So my dad went over and asked for his autograph, and I don't know if I've still got it, but yeah, got Teddy Sheringham's autograph. He's a big guy, he's very tall, really big feet as well, like really big feet. So yeah, well, you don't actually get any tall people with small feet, do you? They'd probably topple over, wouldn't they? Oh well, anyway, yeah, that is one of my claims to fame, that I've met Teddy Sheringham here in Willingale. I don't know what he was doing round here. I think he's local, I'm not sure. It's lovely, and yeah, it's such a rare thing to see two churches in one graveyard, and as I say, there's a couple of stories, but I think the one about the two wealthy families is the most obvious one, probably the most reliable one. There's the old almshouses, and my aunt lives in one of those, right next to the church. Lovely stained glass window. Lovely little village, Willingale. So I grew up here. So this is Willingale cricket pitch, and I suppose just the recreation field. You got the swings and stuff over there. So I used to hang out over there with my mates. Like, we were teenagers by then, sort of early 20s, and I used to have a band as well. I was in band with my two mates. One of them did play bass, and then the other one did drums and vocals. They were brothers, and I was the guitarist and the front man, and we used to rehearse sort of at their house, which is a mile or so away, and we used to hang out here really. This is, to say, Willingale village, and almshouses are over there where my aunt lives, two churches are over there, cricket pavilion, and I remember we had a couple of promotional photos taken up in the trees over there. Don't know if I've still got them somewhere, but they look pretty cool actually. And you know, I used to have hair down to my arse. I think we all did. And yeah, played a few gigs, nothing much really, a couple of like local ones, and it was mainly sort of rehearsal band, I guess, and probably smoking too much weed as well, I reckon, probably didn't help. We thought we were like Black Sabbath or something, we weren't. So yeah, it was pretty cool anyway. That was over there. It's not changed much here at all really. I think it looked like they've added in a couple of bits. Maybe they've got some outdoor gym equipment, I don't know, but I'm not allowed to go and use it anyway at the moment. But and this is where the village fete used to be as well. And this was great. So we'd play football over there in the corner, and then they've got the marquee that's usually up here, and that's where all the grown-ups would be. I think they still have a village fete every year here. It's brilliant. Small, but it's good fun. So we're up the far end of Willingale village now. Village hall is just across the road in front of us. Oh, there's now a village sign in Willingale. I don't ever remember seeing that when I was growing up here, but anyway, the old schoolhouse, which is there, really nice build. That's August House, but yeah, the old schoolhouse was here, and I think that closed in the 80s, and at one point they only had something like 10 kids there in the whole school. So of course it shut because there was there was hardly anyone going to school there. So yeah, it's a privately owned house now. So we're leaving Willingale behind. I stopped and knocked on my aunt's door as well before I left, because I thought it'd be rude not to say hello to her. So I was chatting with her for the best part of half hour, 45 minutes, just catching up. And there's the churches behind us. It's lovely, very picturesque and photogenic round here. So that was Willingale, where I grew up. Not a bad little village. If you're a young person though, there's not a lot to do there, so you have to sort of make your own entertainment really. But it's a nice place if you want to live the quiet life or retire or whatever, definitely. So this is Duke's farmhouse, and it's reputedly one of the oldest buildings in the area. I think it's Tudor or medieval. Really old. It's lovely. Way over there in the distance are some houses, and that is where I used to live. And I used to walk or cycle from there up into Willingale. There's the village hall, which is also like a sports, if you can call it that, sports and social club. Yeah, my band's first ever gig was there at the local talent show. We had to do one song, and we covered Teenage Kicks by the Undertones, and we were practicing it for weeks. building up to it and going to rehearsals, and it was brilliant. It was so much fun. And yeah, at the time, we were old enough to drink. And I remember the night of the gig up there. I say gig, we had like a slot on the talent show. We didn't know how many people had bought tickets to the talent show. We thought, it's probably not going to be many. And considering this is like the first time we've ever performed live, there was 170 people there, which honestly, when you looked out into that hall there, it looked like so many people. It looked like Wembley. I was like, shit. And I remember my mate, the bassist, he went, let's go and have a quick joint out the pack before we're meant to go on. And I think I had like a pint of cider, and we sort of steadied our nerves and was like, right, okay, let's give it to them. And drummer counted, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just went into it, and we were like the loudest thing at the whole talent show. Apparently, when we used to rehearse way over by the 414, the main road, which is a couple of miles away, people in the village could hear us and stuff. We'd make quite a racket, and considering there's only 3 of us, fond memories there. I remember we got a clap and a standing ovation. It was a variety of different things, talent show, but we were literally like, there was like a couple of old geezers with like a jazz band that were just sat down just playing jazz, but we were like the only sort of real like rock band, and we used to get criticised so much. They were like, oh, you lot, you can only play 3 chords and you don't know what you're doing. And it was like, don't matter, we've got passion, we've got ideas. We were like a punk band, and we loved it. We absolutely loved it, and it was so exciting. It was probably one of the best times of my life. I don't ever regret being in a band. So much fun. And at the rehearsals, like for the talent show, I remember we like the organisers were like these old farts as well, and they used to tell us, can you just turn it down a little bit? So I used to go to my guitar pedals and like turn it down a little bit, and then when they weren't looking, I'd turn it up louder than it was before. I remember I had this shit little guitar amp, and there was all these kids that wanted to sit right up the front, like on the actual night, like sit right up on the front on the floor. And I just went to them before we started. I went, I wouldn't sit there if I were you. And my amp was right there, and as soon as I got me guitar pedals and went like that, and the distortion come on, they all just shit themselves and just like moved back about 3 meters. Absolutely brilliant. So much fun. Anyway, apologies, I know I'm waffling on, but as I say, this is like a right old trip down memory lane for me, this sort of seeing where I grew up and everything, and you start seeing stuff and you go, I remember that. Brilliant. Anyway, right, come on, enough talking, let's get walking. We're back in Miller's Green, which is like a little cul-de-sac, sort of like a dead end road really, where earlier on I said about the old man that lived like a hermit in one room of that house. Well, that was the start of Miller's Green. You go down that road and he eventually goes to a dead end at this big house here, lots of land. Willingale's over there with the churches. Judging by the Ford sign there, the river road in here does flood, so as I say, it's unsuitable for heavy goods vehicles, this road. Anyway, we're heading over this way towards a lake, which I believe, I think is a privately owned sort of fishing lake, which is a shame because I was looking at it on the map and I sort of scouted it out a while ago, hoping maybe I could do a wild camp there, and then of course found out that it's privately owned. You don't know that stuff until you're actually on the ground and you're actually there looking at it. You can't find that out from Google Earth and reading it on a map and stuff like that. As useful as that is, you don't know until you're actually there. The lake is beyond there, but the sign says private land, no public right of way, so as I say, it's unsuitable for heavy goods vehicles, this road. no can do. Did sneak down there though to scout it out a while ago, but I'm not going to do it again anyway. So we're following along here. There is like a little stream or river. Got another little story to tell you about the house over there. It's kind of like a farm with horse stables and stuff like that. The ex-footballer Neil Redfern lived there briefly, from Barnsley up north at the time. Don't know if he was on loan or whether he'd actually, you know, been bought by Charlton Athletic in London. And of course he had to move down here with his family. I remember he sent his two, I think he had two daughters, no, he had one daughter anyway, Amy. He sent her to Dr. Walker's primary school. He'd come and pick her up from school at the end of the day, and my dad was there to pick me up one day from school, and he went, "Here, you didn't tell me Neil Redfern had his kids here at the school." And I went, "Who's that?" And he explained and said, "That's Neil Redfern over there. He's a famous footballer. He's playing for Charlton at the moment. Midfielder. He's on loan from Barnsley." I went, "Bloody hell." So it's just like Premier League, you know. I thought, wow. Anyway, I remember my dad went and asked Neil for his autograph, and he was a really nice guy, proper, you know, strong Yorkshire accent. He had like photos of himself in the Charlton kit, you know, already in his pockets, so if anyone asked him for autographs, he could just sign them, give you one of those. So yeah, he lived there with his daughter, when their family, of course. I think I had a crush on Amy, his daughter, anyway. Yeah, that was like literally like year 6 of primary school. I think we ran the tuck shop together at one point. We had to walk the basket of like fruit and veg down the aisle of the church for the harvest fete. So I remember all the other kids were like, "Oh, you two are getting married," and that, and I remember she blushed a little bit, and I was like, yeah, she was really nice. I mean, as a kid at that age, you know, I thought she was beautiful. She probably still is now, I don't know, anyway, but still, yeah. Try and keep these stories short because I could go on and on about them. This is the parish church in Fyfield, and then down there is Canons Lane, where we were earlier, where there was that thatched caravan house. Heading down there and then back across the sports field back to the car. So as the school was only up the road, this is where we used to go for Easter services, Christmas carols, harvest fetes, that sort of thing. This was the local parish church. It's lovely. A lot of concrete on it and stuff, but nonetheless a beautiful church. Doubt it's going to be open. We could go and try though, couldn't we? Let's have a look. Nah. Wishful thinking. almost opposite the church is Fyfield Hall. There used to be the remains of like an industrial estate or business park, and it was where I had my first job out of school with a little company called Colourcraft Coatings. They used to do coloured sand, aggregate, you know, shingle, pebbles, stuff like that. If someone wanted a specific colour of sand or something, then that's what we used to do. We used to get all the raw materials in and then dye it all, and we'd have to we used to use a forklift and rakes and stuff and rake it all out flat on the factory floor and wait for it to dry using these big fans and dryers. And the fumes were really bad. I mean, health and safety was not great then. And it was only me and one other guy, this elderly man called Harry Watley, really nice guy. I think he sadly died actually. The colleague before me had got cancer and of course had to stop work, and I don't know if he survived or not, but I don't know if that was actually from the ingestion of fumes from the job. Yeah, as a result, I think they ended up kind of closing the business anyway. It got liquidated and I lost my job and that. I don't know if I actually quit, I can't remember in the end, but that's my first job out of school, and I used to cycle from where I lived in Willingale to here every day and back. It was great. We're now back in Fifield, and this is the last shot we'll see of the River Roding, and it's probably the nicest shot as well. There's the ducks, and I think I mentioned earlier in the video the mill is up there, and that was open one day. They had an open day and you could go and look at the mill and how it works and everything. It is absolutely amazing. It's such a nice place to live, probably costs an arm and a leg. And they've got this private driveway that goes up here past another big house to the mill right at the end. And yeah, and the River Roding runs behind all these houses. Lovely. Yeah, they've got little boats over there just other side the bridge. Beautiful. We're heading up that way. The school, Dr. Walker's, is the other side of the houses where I used to go to school. And this is where I used to go to primary school, Dr. Walker's C of E. It's changed a lot now. It's always the way, innit? As soon as you leave school, it gets better. They get more money and stuff. And this is, I think they've still got it. It used to be known as the Butterfly Garden. It was a little wildlife garden that you could, we used to do like nature studies and study, wildlife and stuff like that in there. It was brilliant. Really nice little school. Yeah, before that I used to go to a private school in Felsted. I think it was like £100 a week and I hated it. And I was getting bullied, so I ended up leaving and coming here, age 7.5, and going to school there until I left for senior school. Sat on the playing field here in Fifield now, where we started the walk earlier. The car's just over there, so I've got one more little story to tell you that I forgot about. So, as we just saw, Dr. Walker's primary school back there where I went to school. A very small school. I mean, when I left, I think there was less than 100 kids. Yeah, it was about, in year 6 there was about 10 or 12 of us, I think. There was not many. We had the smallest year group when I was there at the time. Every year they do like a leavers assembly for the year 6 that are leaving to go on to senior school. It's a really nice thing. I don't know if any other primary school does it for their year 6 leavers, but they did it here anyway. And like the teachers all sing songs, they like write a leavers song, and I think the year 6 themselves have to write a song that we all have to perform or something, I don't know. And they also give out a kindness and courtesy award, like a little cup, and every year a different person from year 6 gets it, and it's all based on a pupil that's been kind, courteous, generous, caring, all that sort of stuff. And the teachers are the ones that vote for what pupil gets it. So that year, I mean, it hadn't really crossed my mind. I thought about it and I thought, I'm not going to get that. There was other people. There was like my mate Ben, he was a nice kid as well. There was a couple of girls in our year who were really nice to the teachers and everything, and I was fairly quiet really, and you know, not horrible, but like not, I wouldn't think like, well, you know, worthy of this anyway. You can probably see where the story's going. Anyway, so we're in this leavers assembly. My mum's there, my dad's there, there's all the parents, there's all the school there, and they went, and the winner of the Kindness and Courtesy Cup this year goes to Thomas Hill. And I just sort of went like that. I couldn't believe it. My mum was in shock. She just started crying, and she literally didn't stop crying for about 2 days. My dad was like really, really pleased, sort of smiling like, well done, that's my son. And I couldn't believe it. And I went up to collect the award. I was so nervous, I just got up and I just went and grabbed it off the table. And like the reverend of the church was there, and he was like, no, you have to wait for me to give you the cup anyway. So he gave the cup and everything, and you get your name engraved on the cup as well, along with all the people that have won it before. And I don't think I've ever won any awards really. I don't think so. I can't remember, but that's the only one I've ever won. And I tell you what, it was worth it. I would take that over all the awards in the world. For a group of people to say that you're a kind, caring, generous, courteous person is pretty cool. You know, it's like saying you're a decent human being. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, that sticks with me. And that's one of my fondest memories. I remember before I left to go to senior school, because it was summer holidays, and I had this cup, and you kept it for the whole year before giving it back. And I wanted to get a little replica of it, and I didn't. But yeah, amazing. I was so proud of that, and I thought I'd mention it anyway. I don't know if I'm so deserving of it now, let's say, but at the time, yeah, I just couldn't believe it that I'd actually won it. It literally completely stonewalled me. I was like, no way. That's one of my fondest memories of Dr. Walker's anyway. So that is the end of this video. I apologise, this one's gone on a lot longer than the normal walking videos, but as it was local to me and it was where I grew up and stuff, I wanted to include snippets of stories that I've grown up with, and stuff that's happened, and memories, more little stories and bits of history, like local history that I knew anyway. So apologies the video's gone on for so long, but I hope you found it interesting anyway. It's been fun, this one. I've been looking forward to doing this one for a while, and it hasn't disappointed. I've seen some places that I am familiar with in this area, and there's been snippets, like little pockets of countryside and stuff that I never knew existed, and that's so cool. There's always adventure on your doorstep. No matter where you go, you could go a million miles or you could go a mile down the road, and you could still find something that's new to you. So this is what I'm saying, we can all get out there and see the world and see stuff, and it doesn't matter if it's just on your doorstep. Sometimes they're the best adventures of all. So definitely, while we're in lockdown at the moment and we're allowed to go out for walks, get out and walk, people. If you can, do it. Honestly, it will enrich your lives, both mentally and physically. I'm telling you, like, I feel at the moment, it's weird, I feel like I'm on cloud 9 because I've done a walk and stuff. It's just such a good thing to get out and do. All you need's an OS map of the area. You can buy those 50 walks in Essex books, or 50 walks in whatever county book. There's always a book of walks wherever you live. You've got no excuses, and just do it. And if you're looking for places to wild camp, you look along the route, you look on the map of the route you're doing, or you put that into Google Earth and you look for that. There's always places you can find to camp and go and walk. Now, it doesn't have to be that far away. You don't have to travel hours to get to the Peak District or Dartmoor or the Lake District or Scotland or whatever. There's lovely places to walk and brilliant places to camp everywhere, wherever you look. No one is more than an hour's drive from countryside, and the sea or rivers and stuff like that, or hills, honestly. So just get out and do it, okay? I think the virus has shown us one thing, that life is far too short. You've just got to get out there and do stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching and sticking with me for this long. Thank you to the new subscribers as well. Much appreciated. Thank you to all the subscribers that have been with me since day one. It means a hell of a lot. Until next time, take care of yourselves, look after each other, stay safe everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.